up on Sunday Sports Day, an all-star cast of characters, including the long shots and the heads-up performers. Tanya Harding is finally headed to the Olympics.
She will compete in the ladies' event in figure skating beginning on February 23rd.
Also on ice again, Mario, but what a return, while Bobby Hurley struggles to regain his game. Auto racing mourns another fallen hero, and after 2 decades, baseball says goodbye to Robin Yount and welcomes Michael Jordan, while yet another #1 is cut down. We are taking our best shots, going the distance, and hitting our targets to bring you the best of a busy week next on Sunday Sports Day.
Sports Weekly is presented by Delta Airlines.
Good morning and welcome to ESPN Sunday Sports Day. 150 minutes of news, views, reviews, and previews, highlights and sidelights. Dick Schaap is at the Olympics in Norway, where the Hatfields and McCoys, the Hardings and the Kerrigans, will be going toe-to-toe. I'm Frank DeFord in the backup bobsled today. Today's also All-Star Sunday in the NBA, and finally, the greatest All-Star in winter sports got back to action yesterday, and that, of course, is the incomparable but ever-impaired Mario Lemieux. Chris Fowler is our Valentine Eve host this February 13th, 1994. Chris, you see the opening ceremonies last night?
I sure did, Frank, and happy Valentine's week to you. Yeah, I think the opening ceremonies really drove home what a contrast we can have in sports. All the things that sports were supposed to be about, originally intended to be about, a respite from war and global comradeship and all the good things, and then half a world away, this saga in Portland involving lawyers and counsels and lawsuits and six-figure interview fees from tabloid TV shows, all the things that, unfortunately, sports are, these days, all too often about.
You know, Chris, when I was watching last night, I got a great idea. The baseball owners emasculated the commissioner's office even more, and I thought, now I've seen the perfect commissioner. It's the King of Norway. I mean, all they want is somebody to come out and light candles and throw out first balls. He's got a lovely family. He's great at it.
He's classy. A king in a baseball cap.
That's what we need. We really don't need a commissioner. We need a king.
All right, a lot to look forward to. We'll talk about it in the next couple of hours here. But first, of course, the ceasefire and Tanya Harding's battle to skate. The U.S. Olympic Committee backed down yesterday, striking a deal with Harding's attorneys that will allow her to compete, then face possible disciplinary action following the games.
The USOC and its related agencies have been released from all claims by Ms. Harding. This case involved difficult legal issues and well-warranted concerns on both sides.
Because of the resolution of the court proceedings in Oregon today, Tanya Harding will continue to be a member of the Olympic team, and she will compete in the ladies' event in figure skating beginning on February 23rd.
That, of course, the news that Tanya Harding and lots of her fans in Portland wanted to hear. Mark Schwartz joined us now from Portland with the reaction there. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Chris. I think there's probably 4 major reasons why that deal was struck yesterday at Clackamas County Courthouse. First of all, the court was very concerned that under the time constraints, Tanya Harding could not receive a fair hearing in Norway. There was growing concern also about the disruptive effect all of this was having as the Olympic Games began. Certainly the prospects of an 8-figure judgment in court against the U.S. Olympic Committee came into play, and the appeal of the confrontation all of us have probably been anticipating, Harding versus Kerrigan, Hatfield versus McCoy on the ice. I caught up with Harding's attorney, Dennis Rawlinson, moments after the compromise had been reached.
Dennis, can you tell us what Tanya said when you gave her the news?
She was very pleased, very pleased.
Was she surprised at all, or did she expect this result?
I think she trusted that she would be skating.
I asked also if Rawlinson felt that they were vindicated, and he said, "We have nothing to be vindicated from." Dennis Rawlinson's wife, Diane, is Tanya Harding's coach. She says Tanya is skating better than ever. Tanya Harding leaves for Norway on Tuesday and will skate for the public one final time tomorrow at her Clackamas Town Center practice rink. Now, they are trying to make arrangements in Lillehammer so that Tanya Harding can skate with Michelle Kwan in Oslo rather than in Lillehammer. And importantly, Chris, Tanya has a new burgundy costume. She did lose some style points in Detroit because her plunging neckline offended some of the judges.
At least you have your finger on what is important in figure skating, Mark. All right, thank you very much. We will get the big showdown and perhaps one of the heavily watched shows in all of sports this season, perhaps surpassing the Super Bowl when Hardigan and Kerrigan skate. Now, worlds away from the legalese and the tabloid headlines of Skategate, a story of triumph as an American wins gold today in skiing's glamour event. Alaskan Tommy Moe won the downhill at Fayetteville. Surprising crowd favorite, Shuttle Andre Amont by 0.04 of a second. Canadian Ed Podovinski wins the bronze. A wonderful day for Moe, the former Wonder Kid who then flamed out, then put his career back together. The second medal ever for an American in the downhill. Bill Johnson won the gold in Sarajevo. We'll have some more Olympic results later on. Now to college hoops, and after a flurry of afternoon stunners and near stunners, it was the 5th-ranked Kansas Jayhawks who found themselves trying to escape the upset trap and avoid a humiliating season sweep by their cross-state rivals last night. Amazingly, Kansas had won 10 straight times at Manhattan against, no, not that Manhattan, Kansas against K-State. First half, K-State's Askia Jones gets the high bounce, gets the shooter's roll. K-State by a deuce at the break. Second half, Jacques Vaughn, the alley-oop to Greg Ostertag. Roy Williams says, yeah, I'd like to see more of that. Then Sean Pearson for 3. He gets it, a 16-2. Kansas won in the second half. They win it by 9. Ostertag, 16 and 10. Woodbury, 15 points, 11 straight wins at K-State. Something Roy Williams called the wildest thing in the world. You know, it's up there maybe. At East Lansing, the Spartans had Purdue in trouble. Sean Westbrook behind the back and lays it in. Gene Cady hates it. He's down 15 at halftime. Then Glenn Robinson, after 2 fouls in the first half, comes off the bench, sparks the Boilermakers. The big board starts the break. Link Darner, Justin Jennings for the lay-in, ties the game at 54. Then the big guy shows his range around the screen, buries the 3. First lead for Purdue. They would hang on and beat Judd Spartans. Robinson, 11 points in the last 9 minutes. Quanzo Martin had 17. The Spartans, 10 of 32 shooting in the second half. They dropped to 14 and 10. In Chapel Hill, the Tar Heels struggled with mercurial Georgia Tech again. Things were looking good early for Dean Smith. Derek Phelps, the lefty drive. Heels by 15. But Tech rallies. Travis Best, the tough shot. They took a 3-point lead. Kremen's team would eventually seal the deal, and Freddie Vincent had a great day. 26 points, the exclamation point. The National Guardsman, a huge day. James Forrest also had 25. The Jackets sweep the Heels this year, but still an uphill climb to get an NCAA bid. Amazingly, Tech has won 4 straight against #1 teams 3 times in a row. It has been Carolina. The NBA's 3-ring Hoops Fest Circus Extravaganza maybe did not send the excitometer shooting off the scale, but it did accomplish something very rare. It gave the Timberwolves fans something to stand up and cheer about. But first, at the Target Center, the inaugural rookie game. Oldsters out, young guys in. The old-timers game replaced by a rookie game, and Nick Van Exel, the alley-oop to Anthony Hardaway, who was the MVP, even though his team, the Phenoms, lost. Slam dunk contest, and Ryder, the hometown guy, bounces it off the floor and throws it down. His head up near the rim. Sean Kemp had his moments, but he's becoming the Buffalo Bills of the contest. Gary Payton gives him a 10, but then Kemp missed both dunks in the final. And this dunk right here, the same one that won Ryder a contest in college, wins the '94 Slam Dunk Championship. 3-point shooting contest. Defending champ Mark Price was on the ropes early, but he got out of trouble and then got into the rhythm. 5 of 5 from straight on, nothing but net for Price. The slow start, the big finish, and the veteran showing the strength of the legs to keep going deep into the clock right there. Dana Barros survived double OT in the first round, but then he ran out of gas, and Price is the 3-point champion. Can he three-peat like Larry Bird did by winning next year? And coming up shortly, Pam Oliver will have a profile of the man who predicted back on draft day he would win the slam dunk competition and then did it. Pucks. Mario Lemieux is back after a painful and frustrating 3-month.
Sports Weekly is presented by Delta Airlines. You'll love the way we fly.
Welcome back. A lot more to show you on a wild day in college hoops. Already you've seen Carolina lose. The #1 team falls for the 6th consecutive week. Elsewhere, there were a fistful of white knucklers and also one of golf's shots of the year in Saturday's wrap. We'll start in Bloomington. Indiana down 3 to Iowa at the break. Then Damon Bailey catches fire. The layup and the foul. Damon had 33. But 40 seconds to go. Indiana still down by 1 until Todd Lindemann puts the Hoosiers ahead with the lay-in. Iowa, one final chance to pull off the big upset in the closing seconds. Chris Kingsbury gets the ball as they beat the pressure. Kingsbury in the corner for the win. Well, you see the score there. You know it's going to miss. Indiana holds on, wins by 2. Kentucky and Syracuse. Roderick Rhodes to Andre Riddick for the dunk right there. Kentucky trying to recover from the loss to Arkansas, but Syracuse too much. Adrian Autry to Lucius Jackson. Patino's team was down, and then Autry put them away. They win it by 8 in the Dome. Xavier and GW. Final seconds. Jeff Massey hits the 3. Xavier thinks they've got the game, but wait a minute. Here goes Nimbo Hammonds the other way. His layup sends it to overtime number 1. Xavier could win it, but Pete Sears' shot is blocked. We go to a second overtime. At point 8, Vaughn Jones drives the length of the court and wins it for George Washington in double overtime. Now with the LA Open, Peter Jacobson on 14, 180 yards away. He's going for it. And he gets it. He wins the Nissan convertible. Now to pucks. Rangers and Senators. Alexander Daigle bangs it off the skate of Doug Lidster. Senators up. But we go into overtime tied at 3. And Mike Gartner wins it for the Rangers 4-3 in overtime. The rest of the NHL scores. As we mentioned at the top of the show, what a refreshing change from the Skategate saga, a scene that reminds us what the Olympics were intended to symbolize, global comradeship. The opening ceremonies warmed up a cold night in Lillehammer. Featured were trolls, reindeer, a king wearing a baseball cap, skiing fiddlers, or was it fiddling skiers? A very tough ticket last night. Scalpers prices several hundred US dollars. They watched the U.S. team parade in with 155 athletes. Cammie Myler, Bonnie Blair there, and then the ski jumpers. Stein Gruben, the backup, because the starting ski jumper collapsed, but Gruber performs admirably. And Prince Haken lights the Olympic flame, the fireworks display culminating the evening. Meanwhile, at Daytona qualifying, the search for speed continues even as drivers are reminded that death is never more than a few seconds away. It was the lure of speed and the adrenaline of racing that drew Neil Bonnet out of retirement, a comeback that was tragically short-lived. Bonnet's fatal crash Friday during practice sent him headlong into a concrete wall at Daytona. He was pronounced dead a half hour later of massive head injuries. Jerry Punch chronicles the career of a man universally loved by his colleagues.
Neil Bonnet's career blossomed quickly from its start in the early 60s on the short tracks of central Alabama. Success came early and often. For 16 years, Bonnet found a way to win in NASCAR's fastest lane. His 18th and final victory occurred in March of 1988 at the North Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham, North Carolina. In 1990, a multi-car crash at Darlington would put his career on hold. For 3 years, the healing progressed, but the itch to return never left. In 1993, Neil began to race again, first at Talladega, where his day would end in rather dramatic fashion. Then Atlanta, where he would help closest friend Dale Earnhardt win a 6th NASCAR championship. Soon after, a 6-race schedule was announced for 1994. Suddenly, Bonnet was back, a return that only fellow race drivers could understand.
First of all, Neil was doing what he loved to do, you know, and what he wanted to do, just like all of us here. And none of us know when that time is going to come.
I hadn't seen Neil Bonnet as excited about being in a race car as I had the last couple of days. I talked to him a little bit on Thursday, a little bit on Wednesday when they were down here, and then yesterday. And Dick Seidenspinner, who was one of his good friends when they worked at Raymock, you know, he said Neil's more excited about being back in a race car and getting ready to go than I've ever seen him.
The soft-spoken Southerner was known for his charismatic smile and overwhelming popularity among his peers. For him, family and friends always came first. Neil Bonnet never met a stranger and never will.
Welcome back to Sunday's Sports Day. More college basketball scores. Arkansas keeps rolling, winning at home over Florida. Well, we can no longer ignore the avalanche of mail. You, the viewer, want one thing from your favorite sports network: more poetry. Here goes. The bowl was pro this week, not super, but the AFC lost again on a blooper. The Hoop Shrine honored, among others, Rubini, while Northwestern's coach vanished, a la Houdini. A 7-year drought finally ended for Miller as Watson collapsed in a Pebble Beach thriller. For miscellaneous notes, what could be finer than the Week in Review with Charlie Steiner?
Aloha Andre, the Falcons rising, rose to the occasion during this year's Hawaiian hiatus. His 6 catches for 86 yards led to his receiving the Pro Bowl's MVP award. And with the Rams' Jerome Bettis bashing the way, the NFC celebrated a 17-3 win over the AFC. While many Pro Bowlers dream of making it to Canton, dreams turn to reality for basketball legends heading to Springfield, Mass. Back-to-back championships with the Detroit Pistons in 1989 and again in 90 helped land Chuck Daly in the Basketball Hall of Fame. Daly's 541 victories, 4th among active NBA coaches, and his coaching of the Dream Team gave him the distinction of being the first man to coach NBA and Olympic champions. Louisville's Danny Crum also knows something about championships, inducted along with Daly. Crum has won 2 NCAA titles and led his team to the Final Four 6 times. 3,199 points blazed the way for Carol Blazejowski's Hall of Fame enshrinement. In 4 years at Montclair College in New Jersey, Carol scored more points than any other player in women's basketball history. Harry Buddy Jeanette and Italian basketball coach Cesar Rubini also joined the Hall's class of 1994. While nobody else was on a par with those hoop legends, it was Miller time at Pebble Beach. Johnny Miller plays only 1 tournament a year, the Pebble Beach Pro-Am, and for the 3rd time in 3 decades, he won it. For the final round 74, Miller edged Tom Watson by a stroke and added this year's win to his victories in 1974 and 1987. 1987, by the way, was his last tournament win. If only Brett Saberhagen had stuck to throwing baseballs and not bleach, the Mets wouldn't have had to suspend him. Saberhagen's tossing of bleach on some reporters last year has resulted in him being tossed out of the first 5 days of the new season. He will be eligible to be back on the mound Saturday, April 9th. On the other hand, when Northwestern basketball coach Ricky Birdsong will return from his self-imposed exile as anybody's guess. Birdsong's swan song came during this week's game against Minnesota, where he sat in a chair at the end of the court, got 2 technicals, coached a bit, and then roamed the stands. Northwestern officials aren't sure when Birdsong will return, and either is Birdsong. The Indiana Court of Appeals knows exactly when Mike Tyson will return. June 13th will be Tyson's day in court as his attorneys try to convince the court that the rape charge leveled against him was brought about for financial gain. Tyson is currently serving a 6-year term for his rape conviction. And sadly, coaching legend Bud Wilkinson died this week at his home in St. Louis. As the head coach of the Oklahoma Sooners, he guided the team to 3 national titles and a record that may last forever, 47 consecutive victories during a 4-year period. He was only 31 when he took over the program, won 82% of his games, and 87% of his students graduated.
Yeah, Wilkinson's 47 straight wins, one of the unbreakable records in sports. Coming up later in the show, Tanya versus the USOC. We'll look back at the week of legal maneuvering that ended with Tanya Harding getting her chance now to skate for the gold. Plus, a look back at 2 decades of excellence from Robin Yount as he leaves baseball behind.
Maybe, I don't know, in a week or 2, I might go to the Bucks and see if I can get a tryout this summer.
Georgetown, not by 1, but by 2! 15 seconds. Jordan's open. But to the horror of 65,000 screaming fans, he jumps, takes 2 giant steps back, and pops the 3, 2, 1. Yes! North Carolina wins it all! By 2! Of course, there was no three-point line at the time, but that's what college basketball's all about, taking chances.
Sports Weekly is presented by Delta Airlines. You'll love the way we fly. And brought to you in part by MCI.
4 weeks till Selection Sunday, and the battle for a spot in the NCAA bracket is as wild as ever, with suddenly nobody resembling an airtight Final Four pick. As Linda Cohn reports, there was plenty worth watching if you were trapped indoors by the latest blizzard to batter the snow belt.
In the past week, the East Coast has been crippled by a major snowstorm. The best advice? Stay home. For two teams this week, home was not exactly a friendly place. Wednesday night, two road teams came away with exciting wins. In an in-house SEC battle, number 4 Kentucky placed its 33-game home win streak on the line against number 3 Arkansas. Kentucky took a 15-point lead, but Arkansas rallied in the second half behind Scotty Thurman's 26 points to retake the lead for the Razorbacks. Kentucky attempted a comeback, but a miserable 10 for 40 shooting from three-point land gave Arkansas the 90-82 win. Kentucky's last loss at home, January in 1992 to Arkansas. In perhaps the most exciting game of the week, Boston College had number 6 Connecticut on the ropes. UConn trailing by 18 in the second half. They stormed back to tie the game and send it into overtime. In the OT, Bill Curley had a chance to win it, but he missed. And in the second overtime, Donyell Marshall completed his 33-point night by scoring the last 4 points for UConn en route to their 94-91 double OT win. Some other teams were a lot more successful at home this week. Tuesday night, Michigan's Fab Four was reunited on the court, and the fifth decided to catch the game. The Fab Four combined for 69 of the team's 91 points. A hot 63% shooting in the first half led number 11 Michigan to a 91-67 blowout of number 12 Indiana. Thursday, number 1 North Carolina looked like it was going to cruise to its 20th win against Maryland. Up by 15, Maryland rallied and cut the lead to just 1 late in the game. But Derek Phelps scored 9 of his 21 points in the final 2 minutes and 12 seconds as the Tar Heels pulled away 95-89. And finally, speaking of flakes in the winter, Northwestern's head coach Ricky Birdsong has taken a leave of absence from his team. You see, in last Saturday's game against Minnesota, Birdsong's bizarre actions that included going up into the stands to, quote, show his team what courage is, appeared to be the breaking point of a stressful first season at Northwestern.
Also this week, Robin Yount said goodbye after a 20-year brilliant career with the Milwaukee Brewers. Now, Yount says he wants to play golf, and even talked about pulling a Michael Jordan and switching to basketball. Yount leaves as Milwaukee's most beloved athlete ever. And Chris Myers recalls that Yount was a Brewer before he was old enough to drink a brew legally.
He came to the Brewers as an 18-year-old shortstop. 20 years later, he retired rather than return as a reserve outfielder and designated hitter. Robin Yount spent just 1 year in the minors and is only the 3rd player to win the Most Valuable Player award while playing 2 positions. Stan Musial and Hank Greenberg were the others. In 1982, Yount was at short and in center field in 89. In 82, he led the Brewers to their only World Series, where he hit .414, although Milwaukee lost in 7 games to the Cardinals. Last year, Yount hit just .258 in 127 games, coming off knee surgery, but still never let a ball go by without a gallant attempt. His individual high point was in September of '92.
Swings, and there it is! A base hit into right center. He's done it. 3,000 for Robin.
It was something that I was going to let last as long as it could.
A career .285 hitter, Yount a rarity in the game, spending his entire career with one team. And only Rose, Aaron, Yastrzemski, and Ty Cobb had more career at-bats than Robin Yount, who admitted in the last few seasons his motivation to play primarily was to win a World Series, something now he'll never be able to experience as a player.
When we continue, we'll look at that rare sports story that gets tabloid TV shows to shell out 6-figure interview fees. Plus, more from Minneapolis on the NBA's newly crowned Prince of Midair, Isaiah Ryder.
Hi, I'm Jerry Weinberger with MCI. The people you're seeing coming up behind me.
Baseball's done deals this week included a change of cities for 4 pitchers and a comeback opportunity for once-feared Glenn Davis with the Mets. Across town, the Yankees got the veteran pitcher they wanted in Terry Mulholland for Bobby Munoz and a pair of prospects. Well, he was J.R. Ryder when he first perfected and patented the amazing between-the-legs dunk and boasted that he'd steal the NBA's annual aerial show. Now that he's Isaiah, the brash rider made good on the guarantee last night, giving Timberwolf fans their best reason to cheer all season. Pam Oliver looks at one of the lone Wolf bright spots.
Put it this way, Isaiah Ryder never doubted he'd win the slam dunk contest. After all, according to Ryder himself, he had the right stuff. He knew it, just had to prove it.
It was great. It was great. You know, it was a great feeling. I knew that that dunk would pretty much set the tone for the second round. And when the guys missed their dunk, I just knew in my head that I was going to win it if I completed this dunk. So it was great.
After struggling and missing 2 dunks in the first round, Ryder headed down to this end of the court, saving his best for last. His sensational slam both shocked and impressed some of the greatest players in the game, seated right along the front row.
One of the best dunks I ever seen. Intensity-wise, it's phenomenal. I already knew he was going to win the whole thing anyway. I'd have rated it 50. That was a perfect score. He's got the right shoe on, too. I think it was all in the shoe.
It was fantastic. What, NBA fantastic? It was live. It was definitely live. He got up. I thought somebody gave him a boost or something.
I think people can't even realize how difficult it is to make it with some power after you get it through your legs, and he deserved to win that one.
I told guys before the dunk contest that he was going to win, and I knew he was going to do an excellent after me.
It was one of the best dunks I've ever seen in this competition. I think him and Michael right up there. Just fantastic.
Thank you, Charles. Well, a lot of people say that about that dunk. I've seen it before. A lot of people haven't seen it before, and it's a great compliment, and I thank him a lot for that.
But there was one holdout. Shaquille O'Neal had a slight slam of his own. How would you rate JR's dunk?
I'll give it a 6. If my boy would have made his dunks, JR, I wouldn't have won.
Who's your boy?
Sean Kemp.
Kemp failed to show the form that makes him a nightly highlight. Meanwhile, Ryder gets another slam dunk trophy to go with the one he collected at last year's NCAA Final Four. He predicted victory in this NBA premier event way back on draft day.
If I get in a slam dunk contest, I guarantee it, I'm taking it. I'm telling everybody now. I'll just have confidence in myself, and I knew I could do it. I knew I could do it if I was in it. So I feel good. I feel good. I predicted it, and I did it, so I can't ask for much more.
Defending champ Harold Miner had to sit that one out with a bad back. Still ahead, the reason that some AAA teams have had a rush on tickets. Michael Jordan may be coming to town. His first real taste of baseball just a few days away now. And also, more on the strangest of teammates, sharing ice, getting in each other's way. Introduce Olympics. How she got there is not the stuff of dreams, but bad made-for-TV movies. Harding's most difficult maneuver will not be the triple axel she tries in Lillehammer, but the legal loop-to-loop Team Tanya pulled to get her there. Mark Schwartz has that story.
Because of the resolution of the court proceedings in Oregon today, Tanya Harding will continue to be a member of the Olympic team, and she will compete in the ladies' event in figure skating beginning on February 23rd.
In a week where Tanya Harding appears to have finally won the war, her only recourse was to take the battle into the courtroom. On Tuesday, the United States Olympic Committee acted first by scheduling a disciplinary hearing for February 15th in Oslo, Norway, a meeting that was pushed back and ultimately canceled. Harding's attorneys countered on Wednesday by filing a $20 million damage lawsuit against the USOC, a suit that has since been dropped.
The USOC and its related agencies have been released from all claims by Ms. Harding. This case involved difficult legal issues and well-warranted concerns on both sides.
The USOC charged that Harding had failed to conduct herself in Olympic tradition, failed to bring credit and honor to herself and the American team, and failed to act in a manner that would reflect favorably upon figure skating. When both sides met in a Portland courtroom on Friday, Harding's attorneys countered with their own charges.
It hasn't been due process. She hasn't been given the opportunity to defend herself, and it's been beyond their power. And so for those reasons, the harm is irreparable.
Harding's attorneys also said that the USOC had relinquished power to the U.S. Figure Skating Association, that Harding's practice schedule would be interrupted, and that they would be unable to bring witnesses to the hearing. A compromise appeared possible when the USOC agreed to accommodate some of Harding's needs.
If we're giving a list of those witnesses
and an indication of what the problem is, we will try and accommodate that. We will try and get those witnesses there, if that's the solution.
After meeting with both sides behind closed doors for nearly 2 hours, Judge Patrick Gilroy postponed his decision until Monday and urged each side to reach a compromise. That compromise was reached on Saturday.
The USOC has the right and obligation to oversee and discipline certain conduct of its Olympic athletes. Tonya Harding has the right to a fair and impartial hearing regarding claimed ethical violations and the right to prepare adequately for same.
I'm really sorry that this has happened, and that I always wish her the best, and hopefully she'll forgive me for all this crap that's gone on, you know, and maybe give her a hug if she'll let me.
Harding expected to head to Norway on Tuesday. There will be thousands of mini cams waiting for her. Still ahead, what is wrong with this swing? Ted Williams knows, but Michael remains undeterred.
I've never been afraid to fail. You know, that's something that you have to deal with in reality, is that you're not always going to be successful. And I think I'm strong enough as a person to accept failure.
Time for our face-off, our weekly war of words, wit, and wisdom. And with apologies to Sidney Lauper, guys just want to have fun too. And if a certain former basketball player who only happens to be maybe the greatest player to ever lace up a pair of sneakers, if he wants to spend his retirement shagging fly balls in Comiskey Park, should we care? Is Jordan's tryout with the White Sox good for baseball or bad? That's the subject of our face-off today between Skip Bayless, who says, take two and go to right, Michael, and Armin Katayan, who thinks the national pastime should say 23 skidoo. Armin, lead it off.
Well, Skip, if they really want to turn this thing into a three-ring circus, they should get Victor the Dancing Bear and let him be the catcher. They can get the Chicken as the pitcher, and we'll get Max Patkin, and he can be the umpire. It's ridiculous. Jordan has no business being a baseball player.
As I said, you purists need to take two Valium and hit to right. This is the best thing that ever happened to baseball from a PR value. I'll tell you what, I'm finally excited about spring training for the first time ever, because the world's greatest athlete is going to go down there and have the courage to risk failing at the hardest thing to do in all sports, which is to hit a baseball.
But
I'm really looking forward to this,
What does baseball need? They had great pennant races last year. They had a game-winning seven-game home run by Joe Carter. They don't need this kind of
what they have right now, Armin, is a bunch of 220 hitting riffraff, diluting the talent in the big leagues. I think Michael Jordan has a chance, at least as a defensive outfielder, a utility outfielder, with his quickness, his leaping ability. I think this could be really great for baseball.
Skip, let me show you a couple of things. Watch this. It goes like this, it goes like this, it goes like this.
Yeah, a lot of guys miss those.
Like Michael Jordan.
This is the guy. Now, remember, Michael Jordan didn't have a jump shot when he got to the NBA. He taught himself a jump shot. He taught himself the best three-point shot, the clutch three shot in the game. This guy might be able to do it. You better watch it.
Let me walk down memory lane for a minute. Whatever happens here, the greatest hype sport that never happened was, remember, Muhammad Ali was going to take on Wilt the Stilt. Now, would you like to have seen that?
Oh, yeah.
You'd have paid for that one.
But I liked him kickboxing. Yeah, how about that?
Coming up on the hour, Armin and Skip will be joined by Stan Hochman on the Sports Reporters, where we'll be discussing Tanya and Nancy, of course, Shaq and Hakeem. Chris?
Thank you, gentlemen. They may not be as lathered up as Armin is about it, but everyone from Raleigh Fingers to Ted Williams are skeptical about Jordan's chances. But Andrea Kramer reports that Michael remains intent on silencing the doubters who are crying sham and charade.
He was named Mr. Baseball, but that was as a 12-year-old in North Carolina. In fact, Michael Jordan stopped playing baseball 2 games into his senior year of high school to concentrate on basketball. Now, he's officially back on the diamond, rekindling his boyhood dream, courtesy of the Chicago White Sox.
After watching the progress that Michael has made in the past 2 months, I'd like to announce that the Chicago White Sox are extending an invitation to Major League Camp in Sarasota.
It's no gimmick. That's my motto. It was no gimmick from day one. You know, I came out to put the effort there, and I felt I have every day, and I will continue to do so until if I fail or if I succeed. Retirement is a state of your life that you get to choose and do whatever you choose to do. And I chose to try to play baseball just to see if I could.
On Monday, with tongue wagging while throwing, not jumping, Jordan, admittedly nervous, displayed his baseball skills. In a carefully orchestrated baseball workout, in a basketball gym, every move was scrutinized. Skeptics feel he's making a mockery of the game. Others insist he's good for baseball.
He swings well, got good balance, he's got good hand coordination, hand-eye coordination, he has good training, he knows what he's doing, and I see no reason why he shouldn't become a successful baseball player.
I think this whole thing is a curiosity. I think the whole thing is a hoax, really. It's the biggest hoax since the Cardiff Giant. And I think everybody out here is just laughing. They're just amused.
And I've given him so many opportunities to tell me, hey, if this is a hoax, let me know. You know, just let me know. Be a friend first. A lot of people was knocking me without seeing my skills, without ever seeing me work at it. And, you know, that's some of the things that you have to deal with in life. But I used it as energy to come in and work out every day and try to prove people wrong.
Jordan says he's in the best shape of his career. Since December, he's worked out 3 to 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, to build the different muscles needed for baseball. He also watched film of Frank Thomas, John Olerud, and Ellis Burks to pick up fundamentals and technique. General Manager Schuler knows the areas Jordan needs to work on.
His first step quickness, obviously from the other sport, I think is real good. He's got good hands, and he has arm strength, and those are things you look for defensively. The big thing is going to be the hitting.
I've never been afraid to fail. You know, that's something that you have to deal with in reality, is that you're not always going to be successful, and I think I'm strong enough as a person to accept failure. You know, but I will not accept not trying.
Jordan said his expectations weren't to hit 300, be MVP, or an all-star. He just wants to make the team. But the road to the final 25-man roster and opening day here at Comiskey, April 8th, is a long way off. He begrudgingly said he'd go to AA or AAA. But if it took 5 years to get to the majors, no, he wouldn't try another team. But yes, he'd reconsider his baseball career. In Chicago, I'm Andrea Kramer, ESPN.
Well, well, well. Baseball's finally got something it really needs. A basketball star. Hey, why not? It's not like the Bulls need him this year. I guess being Mr. Mom for a few months was enough to make even Michael reconsider retirement. But baseball? Maybe he got the idea while he was doing the laundry. I'll bet he's even ready to face the media now that he's tried to answer the questions of a 4-year-old. And being a professional baseball player means never having to get up in the middle of the night to feed the manager. In fact, the only thing Michael's going to have to worry about is keeping his tongue high and inside.
No panties.
I love it, Ed.
That gets my heart pumping.
It's back! ESP, the second annual American Sports Awards, a celebration of the stars, February 28th at New York's Paramount Theater. And, backed by popular demand, you, the fans, will once again be voting for the year's most outstanding performances and plays. Today's category, Most Outstanding NFL Play of the Year. Play 1. Steve Young with his most memorable completion of the season.
He steps up and throws it in the end zone, and it's caught by Young on a deflection. Young caught a deflected pass.
Play 2. Eric Metcalf's second punt return for a touchdown in the same game against the Steelers.
To the 35, to the 40, to the 45, to the 50. In the Steelers' territory, to the 40, to the 30, to the 20, to the 10.
Play 3. Want to see another Eric? How about Eric Allen grounding the Jets with this interception return?
The 20, cutting to his left at the 25-30. Allen at the 40. Allison at the 45-50. 45-40. Eric Allen down the far sideline, stepped over a man. He's going to go! Eric Allen! Eric Allen with the miraculous return of an interception.
Play 4. Joe Montana to Keith Cash. Touchdown for the Chiefs in the divisional playoffs against the Oilers. When Cash sees the Buddy Ryan banner, keep the change, you filthy animal. Those are your nominees, so what are you waiting for? Pick up the phone and vote. Here's your chance to decide the most exciting moments of the year. Call 1-900-454-ESPY from your touch-tone phone. Each call will carry a 95-cent charge, but hey, it's a bargain. Children under 18 must have their parents' permission. A portion of the proceeds from the call will be donated to the V Foundation.
And its motto is, don't give up. Don't ever give up.
If it would get your heart pumping to see the ESPYs in person, call 212-307-7171 for ticket information, February 28th in New York. Coming up, Kings rookie Bobby Hurley on learning one of life's most important lessons.
I think about it all the time because it just makes you appreciate everything. And, you know, I think I know, you know, what it's like to almost die. And that's you know, not many people could say that.
Hi, I'm Mark Anderson with MCI. Making sure.
Well, between therapy and rehab, Kings rookie Bobby Hurley has gotten a letter from Ronald Reagan, flowers from Dennis Rodman, and addicted to the Ricky Lake Show. What else will Hurley reveal in this conversation with Linda Cohn?
I wouldn't have been able to do this about 2 weeks ago, but I can now hold my arm up probably 9 degrees. So the people have been real happy about what I've been able to do in only a couple of weeks of working out.
Your rehab. Take me through a day in the life of Bobby Hurley at rehab.
I get there and they try and stimulate my muscles in my shoulder because I haven't used them, and because of the trauma they had, they're really, really weak. So they try an electrical stimulation machine on my muscles around my shoulder to get them going, try and warm them up, and they try and stretch my muscles out. All kinds of different types of stretches for my shoulder to loosen up the muscles in there and get back the range of motion that I lost in my shoulder. And once they go through a bunch of those, they do a few strengthening things to try and develop more strength in my shoulder so I'm able to do more with it. And last week was actually the first time that I was able to start running again. So to have that back it was a great day. I was happy that whole day because just to be able to start running and feeling good, and it felt great.
The accident. What do you remember from it?
I just really remember a real short flash of light, you know, coming at me, and then a second later, I was saying to myself that that was it for me.
Do you dream about it sometimes?
Well, I'll be laying around at night, and I'll just be, right before I go to sleep, I'll be thinking about it, and it'll really, you know, shock me sometimes because you relive it a lot. So it's, you know, that'll probably be the toughest part for me to deal with, is the mental part of it. And I'm so overcautious in my life now. It's really, even if I'm walking down the street in Jersey City, I think someone's gonna come behind me with a gun or something. You know, you just, when something like that happens, it's just, you really become overcautious about everything.
What does it feel like to be so close to never seeing another day?
I think about it all the time because it just makes you appreciate everything. And, you know, I think I know, you know, what it's like to almost die. That's you know, not many people could say that. And I know how it felt, and it was really bad. I don't, you know, want to remember it too much.
What stopped you from putting on that belt?
I think, for me, it was always a habit. It wasn't something I did when I get in my car. I think it's something that I fight every day now to do. Even with my accident, I get in the car sometimes and my mother or my girlfriend or my uncle has to remind me to put it on.
The man who was driving the car, who hit you, has he contacted you at all?
No, I haven't been in contact with him. I don't really have any bad feelings for him. I don't have any. I really don't want to talk to him.
Blue Chips opens, and I'm going to see your face there as one of Bobby Knight's players. Could this be?
I didn't have to act at all, which was good for the movie, I think. You know, there were times when I first went out there that I was really worried about trying to do anything. Like, because I thought, you know, Coach Knight would pull me out of the game and start hollering at me or something. So I didn't try any of the kind of risky passes that I tried at Duke. I was a more conservative point guard for his team, but, you know, it turned out real well. And he's a great guy, and I loved the opportunity I had to play under him.
You love challenges, and up ahead for you is another one. Getting back next year in uniform and playing again in the NBA.
It's gonna be the biggest challenge. It's bigger than beating UNLV my sophomore year or winning back-to-back championships. Just where my body was about 3 or 4 weeks ago, it was at an all-time low, and just trying to build it back up and try and get back to where I was is going to be the toughest thing that I've had to deal with. All my life I've played basketball, and I've wanted to play in the NBA and be a good NBA player. And I can't allow this now to stop me from doing something I've always wanted to do. So I'm going to try and do whatever it takes to get back.
And we'll have a look at that new movie,